Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Mindful Discipline, a loving approach to setting limits and raising an emotionally intelligent child, by Shauna Shapiro, Ph.D., and Chris White, M.D., narrated by Joell and Jacob. Parenting is one of the most challenging, demanding, and stressful jobs on the planet. It is also one of the most important, for how it is done influences in great measure the heart and soul and consciousness of the next generation, their experience of meaning and connection, their repertoire of life skills, and their deepest feelings about themselves, and their possible place in a rapidly changing world. Jon Kabat-Zinn, Everyday Blessings. Foreword by Christine Carter, Ph.D. Are you happy all the time? Do you ever yell at your kids? Because I write and speak professionally about raising happy kids, these are questions that parents ask me all the time. Here's the answer. No, I don't even try to be happy all the time. My goal is to be mindful as much of the time as possible. And yes, I do yell at my kids sometimes, but only when I'm not parenting mindfully. Synthesizing ancient insights from the East with modern science and psychological knowledge, psychologist and mindfulness expert Shauna Shapiro and pediatrician Chris White have created a beautifully clear, comprehensive, and practical guide to the type of mindful parenting that I recommend parents practice, and that I try to practice myself. Mindful Discipline is a step-by-step guide to parenting with greater wisdom and compassion. Think of it as an invitation to use the focus of your mind and the compassionate love in your heart to raise happy children and find greater joy in your parenting. As parents, we want nothing more than to help our children grow into their best and brightest selves, to persevere in the pursuit of their dreams, and to be good and decent people who want to make the world a better place. But what do they need from us in order to get there? There is a mountain of information out there about how best to parent. Some approaches make discipline the central issue, but espouse harsh, intimidating, and controlling methods to keep the child in line. In reaction to this authoritarian approach, others have said that children need no limits at all, that discipline is a dirty word that need not be uttered around children. This permissive approach claims we should leave them be, and they will grow up to be kind and responsible. But both permissive and authoritarian approaches misunderstand what true discipline is and how it develops. This book clarifies what healthy self-discipline is and why it is important, and it outlines the essential forms of nourishment that help children develop it. Drawing on modern science, Shapiro and White reveal that children need a healthy combination of love and limits, and that discipline is a necessary ingredient for children to develop the essential capacities of self-regulation, impulse control, and social competence. They invite us as parents to rethink our definition of discipline, reminding us that discipline comes from the Latin root disciplinare, which means to teach. To teach another human being requires that we have a working relationship with our disciple, or one who is open to being taught. Shapiro and White have added a pioneering dimension to discipline, offering mindfulness as the foundation for a loving approach to parenting our children. Mindful discipline helps us as parents cultivate the most important quality of parenting, the quality of mindful presence. In the face of uncertainty, vulnerability, and stormy emotions, nothing is more powerful than being fully here, fully embodied, fully present. Mindfulness, the art of being fully present, is the source of our most intuitive, wise, and attuned parenting. This book offers 15 mindful awareness practices that help us increase our capacity to be present, clear-minded, and heartfelt as we set limits. These practices are something my own work at the Greater Good Science Center at the University of California, Berkeley, as well as loads of other academic research, has shown will help us raise emotionally intelligent, happy, and healthy children. And I found that in addition to helping us become better parents, These practices also support our own development as individuals. We don't have to be perfect parents or disciplinarians. As Shapiro and White write, the times we lose our cool or act unskillfully create an opening where humility, forgiveness, and compassion can bring us closer with our child and grow each of us up in the process. But how do we find joy and more skillful parenting in our imperfect moments? Through the mindfulness practices detailed in this book. Mindful discipline will help your whole family grow together. Christine Carter, Ph.D., author, Raising Happiness, 10 Simple Steps for More Joyful Kids and Happier Parents. Foreword by Dean Ornish, M.D. I love this book. I wish it were packaged with every pregnancy test. Often, we are presented with false choices. Is it fun for me, or is it good for me? Well, why not both? Should I be a tiger mom who strictly disciplines and represses my kids, or a free spirit who coddles my child? Well, neither. In Mindful Discipline, Doctors Shauna Shapiro and Chris White eloquently present a third, middle path, a relationship-centered approach that combines unconditional love and healthy boundaries and provides mentorship and space in a nurturing environment that allows for making mistakes as a pathway to wisdom. This remarkable book weaves together ancient wisdom teachings with modern science to provide new perspectives on parenting, discipline, and what is needed to raise a healthy, emotionally intelligent, and joyful child. Discipline can be limiting or liberating, depending on the intention and awareness behind it. When we consciously choose to limit what we're doing, it liberates us. Discipline provides freedom, if it's freely chosen, because it enables us to do things and to express ourselves in ways that we otherwise might not be able to do. For example, musicians practicing scales may feel it's a little tedious at times, but the scales enable them to express themselves more freely by playing beautiful music. For almost 40 years, I have directed a series of clinical research studies proving that comprehensive lifestyle changes may reverse the progression of coronary heart disease, early-stage prostate cancer, type 2 diabetes, and other chronic diseases. These lifestyle changes include healthy nutrition, increasing exercise, yoga, and meditation, and having more love and social support. More recently, we found that when you change your lifestyle, it changes hundreds of your genes, turning on good genes that keep us healthy and turning off genes that promote a variety of chronic diseases in only a few months. We also found that these lifestyle changes begin to lengthen telomeres, the ends of our chromosomes that control how long we live, thus beginning to reverse aging on a cellular level. All of these lifestyle changes are powerful, but it takes real discipline to put them into practice. Over the years, I've learned that in addition to these intrinsic benefits of changing lifestyle, having the discipline to choose not to do something imbues action with deep meaning and purpose, making it sacred, that is, the most meaningful and the most joyful. If it's meaningful, it's sustainable. I feel deprived because I can't eat this food is not sustainable. I'm choosing not to eat this food because what I gain is so much more than I give up is sustainable. That's what the most enlightened spiritual teachers have taught through the millennia, how to live a joyful life right here and now. Mindful discipline offers a revolutionary perspective on parenting. It reframes our understanding of what discipline means, identifying the healthy dimensions that are essential to well-being, from learning self-regulation and impulse control as a child to making wise lifestyle choices as an adult. The teachings that underlie each chapter are presented with an open-handed invitation for all parents to grow individually alongside their children and to learn to trust both their own and their children's innate wisdom. The authors also share their personal journeys with parenting as illustrations of the principles they discuss, and demonstrations of how the cultivation of loving mindful discipline serves the entire family. Our social connections, beginning with the relationship between parent and child, are fundamental to health and happiness. Study after study has shown that social support, a research euphemism for love and intimacy, is perhaps the most important determinant of our health and well-being. People who are lonely, depressed, and isolated are 3 to 10 times more likely to get sick and die prematurely than those who have a strong sense of love and community. How we raise our children is a primary determinant of their capacity for love and intimacy. Doctors Shapiro and White recognize that deeply loving, attuned, courageous, and compassionate parenting facilitates health, well-being, and the capacity for self-discipline in children. This kind of parenting is optimally supported by the practice of mindfulness, or the development of moment-by-moment attention and presence. It is from this place of centeredness and emotional clarity that parents learn to make the disciplined choices that best facilitate fulfilling relationships with their children, while promoting the child's healthy development. As parents, meditation can help us quiet down our minds to be able to hear the still, small voice within that speaks clearly but quietly. We learn to trust our inner wisdom to help guide and refine our parenting in every moment. At the deepest level, it is this loving presence that underlies all health, from our children to our families to our world. And it is this loving presence from which calm and centered discipline emerges. Mindful discipline shows us how. Dean Ornish, MD, founder and president, Preventative Medicine Research Institute, clinical professor of medicine, University of California, San Francisco, author, The Spectrum, a scientifically proven program to feel better, live longer, lose weight, and gain health. Part 1. A discipline we can feel proud of. Introduction. Do not doubt your own basic goodness. In spite of all confusion and fear, you are born with a heart that knows what is just, loving, and beautiful. Jack Kornfield, The Art of Forgiveness, Loving Kindness, and Peace. Parenting may be the most profound and meaningful endeavor of our lives. We are pushed out of our comfort zone day after day, challenged and made uncomfortable in ways we never imagined. But most of us would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Our children are worth every drop of our blood, sweat, and tears. And yet, none of us want this job forever. We hope the joys of being a parent continue indefinitely. But the work of parenting is another story. Children can be incredibly difficult at times, refusing to cooperate with even the most basic of requests like, "Will you please hang up your coat?" or, "Can you be more gentle with your baby brother?" We do our best to keep our cool, to understand their perspective and respect their autonomy, but it can be terribly frustrating. In our conversations with parents, 2 main themes emerge again and again. First, parents tell us they want to create a harmonious home that flows smoothly and is restful. We all want our homes to be nurturing and intimate environments that bring out the best in each family member. Second, parents express the desire that their children grow up into mature individuals who can increasingly steer their own ship. We want them to feel a sense of commitment to their own lives and to the people around them, and we want to help them develop the skills necessary to act in responsible and respectful ways. We hope that through the development of healthy self-discipline, they will become empowered to enjoy happy, meaningful, and authentic lives. A key to creating harmony in the home and helping children thrive is the practice of discipline. Over the last 50 years, much has been written about parenting and discipline. Some parent-centered approaches are focused primarily on getting control over children, but not on the long-term goals of healthy self-discipline. Other parenting books, sometimes called child-centered approaches, are written in reaction to the more authoritarian and controlling methods. These approaches can leave parents with the impression that children are fragile and can't handle not getting their way, that they must always be pacified or coddled to prevent trauma. This is a misunderstanding of how emotional intelligence and resilience actually develop. The research is clear that discipline, when it is healthy and balanced, plays an essential role in the raising of emotionally intelligent, self-disciplined children who thrive. We felt that a new approach, a relationship-centered approach, needed to be articulated in order to empower you as a parent and to support your child in one day being able to guide her or his own life with wisdom and integrity. The word discipline often evokes strong emotional reactions, particularly because it is often used synonymously with punishment. However, the original meaning of discipline is to teach. The mindful discipline approach offers a conscious path toward teaching our children to find their innate wisdom while simultaneously transforming our house into a more restful and harmonious home. Creating a harmonious home and supporting self-discipline in our children requires that we as parents become more self-disciplined. With intentional practice, our own self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-discipline co-evolve and mutually support these qualities in our children. By seeing discipline as a loving container for optimal development, we parents and our children can grow and learn together. As author and teacher Frank Marrero says, discipline is the obligation of relationship. We learn the value of respect and cooperation by experiencing teamwork in the home. We see firsthand both how personal responsibility is empowering and how it helps create a safe and restful place where all family members can thrive. It is the relationship, the context of love and respect, that motivates us beyond our personal needs and impulses and inspires the development of self-discipline. Nature's plan. Here's the good news. Raising children is not all up to us. Nature is on our side. Self-discipline, emotional intelligence, and resilience are hardwired into human growth and development. In a way, your child is like a plant. She starts out as a seed, full of potential, but undeveloped. If the seed receives the nourishment it needs, it will grow roots, push its way out of the ground, and develop through various phases, shoot, sapling, and eventually, a full-grown tree that bears the fruit of maturity. You, the parent, are like a gardener. Your role is to provide the nourishment needed in order for the plant to survive and thrive. If the plant's growth seems to be stalled, you try first to understand what form of nourishment might be missing. More water? Which nutrients? Protection from other invasive species? A gardener knows that she can't simply shout at the plant to make it grow faster, nor will pushing and pulling it result in a tree's maturing and bearing fruit before its time. Nature unfolds in its own way and its own time. We play an important role in our child's development, but it is not all up to us. Our job is to read our children's needs, do our best to provide the nourishment, and be patient. We must trust ourselves, our children, and the developmental process. The parent's role. Our role as parents is to support nature in growing our children up by providing certain forms of nourishment. The nourishment that children need to become self-disciplined falls into 5 categories of experience that we call the 5 essential elements of mindful discipline. 1. Unconditional love. 2. Space. 3. Mentorship. 4. Healthy boundaries. And 5. Mistakes. On one hand, children need to know that they are perfect exactly as they are. When we love them unconditionally and give them space to be themselves, they retain a basic trust in the world and a sense of their inherent value as human beings. Feeling a degree of autonomy, they remain curious, engaged, and develop an increasing sense of responsibility over their lives. However, children also need mentorship and healthy boundaries. These two elements communicate to children. While it is true that you are perfect as you are, it is also true that you have a long way to go. Children have a lot to learn about the workings of the world we live in, and it requires a great deal of time, guidance, and practice to develop the skills that comprise healthy self-discipline. Mentorship and healthy boundaries help children develop impulse control, emotional intelligence, and the ability to adapt in the face of adversity. Lastly, and perhaps most surprisingly, our mistakes can end up nourishing our children. We write mistakes instead of mistakes to signify that these are missed takes, moments or occasions when we missed the mark and need to correct course. In this way, mistakes can be seen as potentially beneficial and nourishing, rather than simply bad or wrong. When we recognize our misstep and move to reconnect and repair, both we and our children learn and grow. Relationships are a messy affair, and children learn from seeing their parents' authentic struggles with self-discipline. The times we lose our cool or act unskillfully create an opening where humility, forgiveness, and compassion can bring us closer with our child and grow each of us up in the process. The shadow aspects of ourselves often lead to the deepest of healing and intimacy. The lotus flower grows in the muddiest of swamps, as the common Buddhist saying goes, no mud, no lotus. In order to provide the nourishment our children need, we need to first ensure we embody the right relationship with them. Nature has intended for the parent-child relationship to be a loving hierarchy. Dependent young children are born into our loving arms, and we are responsible for protecting, caring for, and guiding them. To be clear, we are not talking about the pathological and destructive form of hierarchy where parents are not attuned to the needs of their children and use and abuse them out of their own self-centeredness. Such dominance hierarchies are what characterize an unhealthy, authoritarian approach to discipline. But the limbic brain of a young child instinctively looks for a loving authority to take the lead in caring for him. The limbic brain is the group of brain regions we share with all social mammals that is responsible for functions like caretaking of offspring and social emotional learning and functioning. The permissive approach to parenting leaves children feeling unsafe. Children are not meant to be in charge of their parents. Nature did not intend for them to run our households. There are times to let them practice leading and times for democratic decision-making. But a loving hierarchy is the most healthy arrangement for your child's development. A loving hierarchy provides the structure and boundaries required for our children to feel safe, to know that someone more experienced is at the helm. If we balk at this responsibility, our children and our families will suffer. We'll talk more about authoritarian and permissive styles of parenting, as well as the more nourishing authoritative style, in Chapter 2. How mindful discipline will help you parent. Mindful discipline is an intentional yet flexible approach to raising children of all ages. Although this book has focused suggestions for children ages 1 to 10, the concepts can be applied to any stage of development. We have found it most effective to focus on principles, rather than merely trying to apply techniques not rooted in deeper understanding. So here we offer a theoretical model accompanied by specific practices designed to help children grow into healthy, emotionally intelligent, and self-disciplined individuals. The guiding premise is that our role as parents is to discern what nourishment is needed, moment by moment, and to provide the nourishment that nature needs to bloom our children into their full potential. We offer this book to support you in becoming the most trustworthy, flexible, and intuitive gardener parent you can be. Parenting approaches to discipline often attempt to train children through the consistent application of punishments and rewards. This works great for dogs and other animals, but as we'll discuss, when used on children, the downsides to their development and to your relationship greatly outweigh the upsides. A key aspect of the mindful discipline approach is a shift from focusing on behaviors to instead identifying and responding to the underlying needs of your child. Sometimes the need is space. Sometimes it is a firm boundary. Attending to these needs is the provision of nourishment and supports your child's development into a joyful, autonomous, and responsible young adult. Seeing clearly is the crucial first step to providing what is needed. That is why mindfulness is a key element of the approach found in this book. Mindfulness can be simply defined as attending to the present moment with a kind, curious attitude. It helps us see clearly what is actually here in the present moment and invites us to be fully present with our children, to attune to them, and see them clearly in their full sovereignty and vulnerability. When we begin to regularly incline our attention to what is actually happening now, rather than acting and reacting on autopilot, we begin to see clearly what is the most skillful, nurturing response in any given moment. Being in touch with reality and in touch with our hearts, we learn to find our way to the appropriate response that will serve our children and our families. Finding the appropriate response is the practice of an entire lifetime, and it is not reducible to a formula or technique. To respond appropriately, we have to be present. Thus, mindful discipline invites us to wholeheartedly meet our children, ourselves, and life, moment by moment. In addition to helping you see reality more clearly, the mindfulness awareness practices, MAPs, we offer throughout the book will help your parenting become embodied rather than conceptual. Children respond more to our state of consciousness than to our words. When we are present, grounded, and clear, our children listen. When we are angry and attacking, they shut down or act out more. MAPs can help us self-regulate when we find ourselves contracted, frustrated, furious, or stuck. Having a practice to go to when you are about to become dysregulated can save your family from cycles of guilt, shame, resentment, and more acting out. The intention is to discipline ourselves before disciplining our children. We need to learn to regulate and care for ourselves before we can care for our children. We can look to the wisdom of our body as a model. The heart pumps blood to itself first before pumping blood to the rest of the body. If it didn't, the heart would die, and then the rest of the body would die. We as parents need to learn how to bring self-regulation and self-care to our own lives so that we can help cultivate these nourishing capacities in our children. Finally, we want to acknowledge the challenge of writing a book for parents. We do not want this to be another book that talks to you from an ivory tower of what you should do, and we definitely do not want to add any feelings of guilt. We know parenting is hard, because we are parents. For us, personally, parenting has been the most challenging journey we have embarked upon, and we are right in the thick of it with you. We offer this book with humility and with the knowledge that chaos and challenge will be part of the process. Sometimes you will have the patience of a saint. Other times, you will be pushed beyond your edge. Please hold our suggestions as a set of best practices, knowing that we are right there with you, stumbling along and making plenty of messes ourselves. We have found that what is most important is not to try to be perfect, but rather to allow space for the messes and imperfections, and to practice holding them in a context of self-compassion. Becoming aware of our parenting patterns and reactions can be quite painful, and it is essential to bring an open, non-judgmental heart to as many moments as we can. When we hold our difficult feelings, even the seemingly unforgivable ones, with compassion, we set the stage for healing and growth. As parents, we must learn to trust ourselves. As Jack Kornfield reminds us, do not doubt your own basic goodness. In spite of all confusion and fear, you are born with a heart that knows what is just, loving, and beautiful. Our deepest desire as parents is to see our children thrive, to see them grow into...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?